Hello, budding state experts. Today you are going to get a chance to read and explore more about your state. First, I want you to think back to the last topic we discussed, categorizing. What do you remember about categorizing? Pause the video if you need more time to think. I'm going to share a few things. Perhaps you remember that we said your categories must be organized. Your categories must have enough detail and enough information. And also, when categorizing, there's more than one right answer, right? The categories I came up with for Illinois' climate might have been different from yours. And when you were doing your own state, you got to choose whatever categories you felt were important as long as they were organized and had enough information. So today's teaching point, though, is that when we read, it's really important we're not just reading the words, but that we're thinking about the text in our mind as we read. Remember, reading is thinking. You do this when you read fiction novels, and we're going to apply the skill in nonfiction as well. You're not going to be able to come up with categories or figure out what's important if you haven't first really thought about what you read and understood it. So today we're going to practice training ourselves to be patient and active readers. What do you think those words mean? Patient and active readers. So patient, you're probably saying we're going to take our time. We're not just rushing to pick out details and put them down on paper. We're really taking our time to understand what we read. And active, meaning you're using that thinking voice as you go through, not just reading the words and moving on. You are translating the knowledge in a way that will make sense to you. How do we do that? Well, here are 3 questions I want you to ask yourself as you read. Number 1, do I understand what I just read? And what do you do if not? You reread, of course, right? That's really important. Number 2, is this brand new information, or do I have a connection based on what I already know? Or maybe a little bit of both. And this I put a little connection symbol because that helps us build our understanding if we make connections based on your prior knowledge. And number 3, is this information important for my reading purpose? So last time we were reading about climate, right? So you wanted to be asking yourself, does this tell me something about climate? And specifically about one of the categories that I'm looking for within climate. Okay, so keep these questions in mind as you read today. You're going to get a chance to apply those in today's assignment. But first, we're going to practice using these together. So I am going to do the steps that you're going to do, but I'm going to do them for Illinois and you'll do them for your state. The vocabulary we'll look at are table of contents index and glossary. We'll get there in a second. You might already know what those are. But you're going to go into Epic Books and find a good resource for your state. Let me model that. So if I'm in Epic and I search Illinois, my state, well, at first, as I was scrolling through, I was looking, some of these are a little specific to Chicago or to sports teams. You might be interested and want to read them later, but I don't know if these are going to be a good resource for my whole state. But then this cover caught my eye, and I read the description, Explore the Colorful Customs, People, and Places of Illinois. This seems like a good resource to learn all about my state. Okay, now here we get to see some of that vocabulary we were talking about. I don't know if I can move this. Oh, good, I can. So the table of contents right here, you can see this tells us the headings and what page number we're going to find that information on. So we could skip ahead if we wanted to do people and work. We know we could skip ahead to page 12 to find out more about the people who live in Illinois and their jobs. And we'll get to the glossary and the index in a moment. But let's model our strategy. So I am going to show you the next steps. Let me look here. We said you're going to read more about your state for at least 15 minutes and be a patient and active reader. Use the questions above to guide you. These really important questions to make sure you're thinking as you read. And jot down your notes about what you were thinking. And if you read multiple sections, which I'll model for you, we'll stop after each one to record your thinking and use the headings they give you. So, for example, if I'm reading about Illinois, and this first section is geography. First, I'm just going to read aloud the words, and then I want you to be asking yourself, do I understand what I just read? Is this brand new information, or do I have a connection based on what I already know? And is this information important for my reading purpose? Which today, you're setting a purpose in general to learn about your state, but in future, we'll be more specific about which research component you're doing, if it's climate or places to visit or history and so on. Okay, let's go back in and be thinking as we read. Geography. Let's explore Illinois. Illinois is in the central United States. This area is called the Midwest. Lake Michigan is on the northeast border of Illinois. It is one of the Great Lakes. I'm going to notice the text features, the pictures, the map here with the capital highlighted. So here are some things. So I want you to pause and ask yourself those questions, right? Do you understand what we just read? Is this brand new information, or do you have a connection based on something you already know? And number 3, is this important, what you're learning about your state? Ask yourself those questions and jot down on a piece of paper just a few notes of what you thought about on this page. Play back when you're ready to hear my think aloud. So I might have said that I noticed, especially stood out to me when it mentioned that Lake Michigan is on the northeast border to Illinois, because that was something I could connect to since we're here in Chicago. Actually, this map shows it better. I know we live in Chicago and we can see Lake Michigan out the window at our school. So that was a connection I made. I'm also thinking that this is important to know that Illinois is in the Midwest. That region is important to me. That's something I've also read about in the past. Also, by looking at the picture, as I mentioned, I see Springfield has a star next to it, and I know that Springfield is the capital of Illinois, so that is also displayed on the picture here. Again, we're just taking our time to really gather the information and process it. And that's what I want you to do in your book today. So you'll keep reading for at least 15 minutes through the different sections. And again, the beauty of nonfiction is you don't have to go in order. If there was a section in the table of contents that really caught your eye, you can flip ahead and start there, right? But I do want to draw your attention to a couple other key text features, one being the glossary. And this is going to, as you can see, or as you might have guessed, what does the glossary do? Gives us definitions. So if there was a bit of text you didn't understand, this is a good place to flip through and look. And how are the words in the glossary organized? You know, or do you notice? They are in alphabetical order, which will help you if you were trying to look up a specific word. And then finally, this book has a very short index, but the index has some other key topics and the pages where you might find those. So interesting, Hillary Rodham Clinton was a key topic. If you're interested in that, you know you need to turn to page 18 to read more about her. So now it'll be your turn to go apply this on your state. And we look forward to reading your Think Aloud, and I hope you look forward to learning even more about your state.